an important part of the discussion as Zelensky arrives here, first with an official greeting. You can see the First Lady there as well with the president, awaiting President Zelensky, is going to be some of the new deliverables here. The United States announcing, the White House just today, $2 trillion in new security assistance and $2 billion in new security assistance. And later today, we're going to see, of course, Congress vote on an additional $44 billion. Let's watch these pictures now.
Yeah, there is President Zelensky. Again, the first time he's been out of Ukraine in 300 days, greeted by President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. You can see he seems like he's getting a good look at him. President Zelensky, very notable, though, still in what he's been wearing throughout the war, these green fatigue-colored sweatpants or sweatshirt and military-style cargo pants, not in the suit and tie that you would normally see another dignitary arrive at the White House with. This is a time of war for his country. It was just about 24 hours ago that he was on the front lines and one of the most dangerous parts of his country right now, currently under bombardment in Bakhmut. And now he is here at the White House.
The January 6th House Select Committee is releasing its final report today.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that's coming at us today from Washington. In that January 6th report, we're expected to see all of the panel's findings from its 18-month-long investigation. The committee is also going to be releasing some of the transcripts from more than 1,000 interviews it conducted. The panel voted to approve that report on Monday. It's also set to include information that led to the panel's decision to issue referrals against former President Donald Trump and others to the Justice Department for possible criminal charges. We're going to bring in now CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. He's there on Capitol Hill and helping us sort through all the information that's coming into the public sphere today. Scott, what are you going to be looking for? Let's start with the January 6th report. What are you looking for when that report is released?
It comes along with some number of the transcripts of the depositions conducted with key witnesses inside the Trump inner circle. I might start with those transcripts. The committee's summary, its 150-page summary of its imminent report, was somewhat redundant from the things they showed us at the public hearings. Didn't have a whole lot of new revelations in there, which raises the prospect that the transcripts of the interviews might have the new nuggets of information. Among the key witnesses whose transcripts will be released, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Rudy Giuliani, and the woman who might have been the star witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, a top aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who revealed so much about what was happening and what was not happening as the riot broke out from her perch in the West Wing.
So this report, Scott, is what was handed over to the Justice Department and the special counsel, Jack Smith. So what does he do with this report now?
It's unclear if the report's been transmitted to the Department of Justice or the special counsel, Jim. It's something the Department of Justice wants. They want all the records of all the depositions, of all the investigative findings of this committee, but the committee has not yet released the report, nor have they been working in concert with the Department of Justice. In fact, there's been a bit of a confrontation of sorts between the Department of Justice and this committee over the past few months. The Justice Department wants records. The committee says, wait till we're finished. So we'll see how soon it's transmitted, if it's transmitted, after the committee releases this report publicly, presumably sometime today or tonight. But let me tell you, Lana and Jim, this committee throughout its 18 months has been like a kid with the snooze button on the alarm clock. They keep hitting it every time there's a deadline, and they keep sneaking that deadline back. Eventually, they're going to have to wake up and get out of bed and send us this report.
Doesn't sound that different from what we've heard on the spending bill or any other number of things coming out of Washington. And also, you know, as Jim and I were mentioning, it's another big day because of those taxes, that being voted on overnight. So we're going to continue checking in with you throughout the day. Scott MacFarlane, thank you.
So, Ryan, one of the things that was not in that executive report, the executive summary, was kind of the breakdown of security, right? I know that you have some new exclusive reporting, but there was this informant, the FBI, that warned the FBI, weeks before January 6th, that the far right saw a Trump tweet as, quote, a call to arms. So the FBI had a warning that something could be incoming. Tell us
right.
more.
You know, The FBI had a lot of warnings in the lead up to January 6th, and that's trickled out some through some of these trials that we've seen thus far and various reporting that's been done by different outlets, including by the Washington Post, about just a lot of the intel that was coming in. And, in some ways, this is kind of like, breaking news. The FBI had someone who was reading the internet in the weeks leading up to January 6th, right? This was kind of obvious to a lot of people who were looking at these circles. There was reporting from NBC News before January 6th itself about some of this violent rhetoric, but I think what made this different is that this is someone who was cleared by the FBI, who was actually went through the process and was a confidential informant to the FBI, sending it directly to them. So it sort of like removes that excuse that they've had in previous instances where we don't look at general things on the internet, because this was something that was directly said to the FBI, that on the very day that Donald Trump sent that tweet calling for people to come to the Capitol on January 6th for a wild protest, that the far right was taking that as a call to arms, as that email said. And,
Benjamin Netanyahu, who is expected to return as Israel's prime minister, is thought to be close to announcing he has officially formed the country's most far-right ever government. He's been locked in weeks of negotiations with his ultra-nationalist and religious partners, who won the majority of seats in last month's election. Yolande Nell is in Jerusalem for us.
You have ultra-Orthodox Jewish parties that have traditionally allied with him, and also these parties that performed extremely strongly in the election, much stronger than they've ever performed before, who are on the nationalist far right. And so what we have seen in the past few weeks is Mr. Netanyahu negotiating with those partners. He's now approaching a deadline of midnight. The clock is ticking for him to say to the president that he has got his government all in place, although he could be given a short extension if he asked for it under Israeli law. Israeli media are really predicting that this deadline will be met and that a new government could be sworn in as soon as next week.
Yolande, we've seen secular and liberal Israelis absolutely horrified by some of the rhetoric coming from Benjamin Netanyahu's partners. What is the concern there? How do they worry that they will now wield their power?
Well, the agenda of these parties is very clear. So they are pro-settlement. For example, they really want to advance the expansion of Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. They want tougher punishments for Palestinians, including Arab citizens of Israel who carry out any attacks. There are also other aspects, like they are anti-LGBTQ. There have also been demands to tighten up immigration laws for Jews around the world who might want to come to Israel, to make it much more along strict religious criteria. So that has attracted a lot of attention, of course, within secular Israeli society. There have been complaints coming out from people today, a letter written by leaders of the high-tech business community expressing their concerns. We've also had a lot of concerns coming from Israeli lawyers and other groups too. It's very clear this is a nationalist religious government. It's also attracting attention, of course, from Israel's international allies who have expressed some concerns.
Congressman, we also wanted to get your reaction to new reporting about someone that you ran against in a previous election, newly elected Republican Congressman George Santos, facing allegations that he misrepresented his biography during his campaign. Let's take a look at this by NBC News national correspondent Gabe Gutierrez, who's got the growing scrutiny even before Santos was sworn in. Take a look.
This campaign was never about me. It was always about the people.
Just weeks after pulling off a midterm upset, New York Republican Congressman-elect George Santos is facing mounting pressure after a bombshell report in the New York Times alleging much of his life story may be fake.
He has spat in the face of every resident in the 3rd Congressional District and said that facts do not matter.
Baruch College, NYU, Goldman Sachs, and Citigroup all tell NBC News they have no record of Santos, despite being listed on his campaign biography. Also, a tax-exempt animal rescue group he claims to run is not listed on the IRS website. The Times raises questions about how Santos managed to lend his campaign $700,000. The paper also reports unresolved criminal charges against Santos involving fraudulent checks in Brazil. The local GOP chair calls the allegations serious and says he looks forward to Santos's response. Democrats are now calling for a House ethics investigation.
He's got to stand up and say whether or not he's been honest. And if he hasn't, then he should not be seated.
Santos' attorney did not respond to specifics of the Times report, but said in part it is no surprise that Congressman-elect Santos has enemies at the New York Times who are attempting to smear his good name with these defamatory allegations. Robert Zimmerman ran against him.
A number of the issues in that article were not shocking to us. It was documented in the opposition research that was done during the course of the campaign.
Tom Suozzi, I don't even know what to say. What do you make of this story?
You know, it's kind of like the two stories that we're talking about, the president's tax returns and President Trump and Santos. They're kind of part of the same thing. There's a breakdown in the norms that exist in our society, and you've got to hold people accountable. The idea that somebody could just lie about, you know, where they went to school and where they got their money from. I ran against Santos back in 2020. He had $40,000 in the bank. It was in the middle of COVID. He's an odd, unusual person, and it wasn't a real race. I beat him by, 12, 13 points in a district that's kind of 50-50. And, we didn't take him that seriously. It became more of a real race in this last campaign, obviously, because of what was going on in New York State overall. And as Robert Zimmerman said, he did some research. The DCCC did some research. Nobody really uncovered all of this, and the papers didn't really cover the race that carefully. But it's this anything goes mentality that's really been visited upon us that really started with President Trump. And now a lot of people think they can just do whatever they want. And we have to, as a society and as a culture, figure out how we're going to get back into the groove of holding people up for office that really are somebody you can respect and admire, and hold people who you can't respect and admire accountable for their misdeeds.
Democratic Congressman Tom Suozzi of New York, thank you for being on this morning.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. We appreciate it.